On August 27th, the state attorney general's office held a community gun buyback program at the Utica Police Department. No questions asked, they'd buy from you as many guns as you wanted to surrender.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a New York man who made fake guns with a 3D printer and sold them at a state-sponsored buyback program and made $21,000 as a result. I'm not making this up. I'm not lying. There's a whole news story about it. Shout out to Ruined Leon for his video on it. If you want to see his video in full, I'll link to that in the description. But what we're going to see right now is the beginning of it, where you see the news clip, and they're going to show what's going on. And the guy who was behind the fake guns, the 3D printer, he's going to speak and talk about why he did it and what he has learned as a result. So let's go ahead and roll the clip.
State Attorney General's gun buyback program aims to curb gun crime, but one man claims he made guns on a 3D printer for the sole purpose of selling them at Utica's buyback event. As News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports, he walked away with $21,000 in taxpayer money.
On August 27th, the state attorney general's office held a community gun buyback program at the Utica Police Department. No questions asked.
Let's go back. So you see, hold on. I wanted to kind of comment on that. So assault rifle, $250. Handgun, $150. Rifle or shotgun, $75. Explain the difference between an assault rifle and a rifle. See, right there, just off the rip, this makes no sense. A rifle is a rifle, unless you got some kind of, fully automatic thing from the military or something like that, which you don't have. A rifle is a rifle. You put a trigger one time, one bullet comes out. That's it. So what is an assault rifle exactly? A scary looking weapon, an all black weapon versus a wood grain weapon. It does the exact same thing. So right away, this whole thing was stupid.
The Attorney General's office held a community gun buyback program at the Utica Police Department. No questions asked, they'd buy from you as many guns as you wanted to surrender.
Nobody thought this through. If you look at the flyer, it is just the gravest thing that Letitia James could have done.
So this is the guy that actually printed the guns and sold them. That's the guy, Kim. That's him talking.
Is she literally put a bounty on 3D printed guns.
So it's one thing I want to say is Letitia James appears to be very incompetent. Okay, her whole campaign was focused on trying to prosecute Donald Trump for whatever the reason may be. She's found nothing there. You're basically harassing the guy over zero because it was a campaign promise to harass him and to try to sue him for frivolous things. And now apparently she's behind this. Okay, it has her name on it right there. Okay, Office of the Attorney General. This is another boondoggle.
She said, I will give you extra money if it doesn't have a serial number on it. They made no specifications. They didn't touch on any details. There was no fine print. And that's why I was able to walk out with $21,000.
After seeing people posting on Twitter about using 3D printers to make ghost guns to sell.
This man came in there with Legos. This man came in there with Legos and made $21,000.
At gun buybacks, a man who identified himself to us as Kem got to work on a $200 3D printer he got for Christmas.
Well, I 3D printed a bunch of lower receivers and frames for different kinds of firearms.
Then he drove 6 hours to Utica.
He says, hey, you're here for the gun buyback? And I said, yeah, I'm here. And he sees the tote. He's like, oh, how many firearms do you have? And I said, 110.
110 of these right here. Because that right there, that's the whole gun, okay? That's a lower receiver. That's all you need. You know, it doesn't have anything else on it. It doesn't have what will make it to be the complete weapon. It doesn't have the barrel, the stock, or anything like that. But it has the pew part, pretty much. You know, that right there would be your weapon. You could sell that and get your money.
And an all-day negotiating and haggling session with staff from the state attorney general's office.
And it ended with the guy and a lady from the budget office finally coming around with the 42 gift cards and counting them out in front of me. $21,000 in $500 gift cards.
Wow.
We asked the state attorney general's office a few weeks ago if they were aware this might be happening at gun buyback programs. They didn't answer the question, responding only that the buyback in Utica helped keep families safe and was a big success.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure handing over $21,000 in gift cards to some punk kid after getting a bunch of plastic junk was a rousing success.
Kem says he had two objectives: make some cash and make a point.
And gun buybacks are a fantastic way of showing, number one, that your policies don't work. And number two, you're creating perverse demand. You're causing people to show up to these events only to make money. And they don't actually reduce crime whatsoever.
Because how about this? Rather than just having a 3D printer doing the job, you could just go steal weapons. You could break into somebody's house, break into somebody's car, get a bunch of weapons, and then sell them right back to the state. No questions asked. All this, that, and the third. No serial number. Okay, I'll scratch that off from the one I stole and give it to you, and I get my money and gift cards.
Utica police referred all questions to the AG's office. We reached out to them again today. No response.
So shout out to him. That's Ruin Leon right there. I'll link to his video in the description so you can see what his take is on it. And you can also see that first part without my interruption. But that right there is hilarious. Totally hilarious. A gun buyback. What is that going to do? Do you think that the criminals are going to be out here saying, you know what? Hey, cuz I'm tired of committing crime, cuz you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give my guns right back to the state. I'm going to go to the police, right? These are the guys and girls I'm trying to avoid. I'm out here thugging and drugging and carrying on, gang banging, living that life, all this and that. Okay, rather than focusing on that, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to go right to the police and give them this weapon. It might have a body on it. And here's what I got to ask. If there's a gun buyback program and it's for the attorney general's office, whatever, are they not going to examine these guns for ballistics? Let's say you have a few open murder cases, right? They were able to recover shell casings and whatnot. Wouldn't you examine the weapons for ballistics? So if a guy comes in there with a murder weapon and gives you that, I mean, you're not going to try to like figure out what's going on. Maybe that could be the weapon that was used in the crime. Maybe this guy is the guy that killed somebody. Like the whole idea of a gun buyback makes no sense at all. Like the man said, it's like all you're going to do is funnel people there that are going to want to make some money. You're not going to stop any kind of crime. They're talking about some, oh, yeah, this took guns off the streets and it helped us be a safer place. No, it didn't. You got some guy that created a bunch of junk on his 3D printer to go get $21,000 from the taxpayers of New York State. How did that help crime at all? Actually, that could be considered a crime right there. That could be considered scamming. You're creating more quote unquote crime. That's what's going on with that. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Kim, quote unquote Kim, and his 3D printer. Shout out to Ruin Leon. Shout out to everybody that's able to expose how ridiculous these laws are. Gun buybacks, the gun control issue. Gun control is probably the toughest in the nation in a place like Chicago, Illinois. Yet and still, I'm seeing videos of young boys, 12, 13 years old, not only with guns, but with fully automatic guns, with the Glock switches. You know, you got guys like Obama talking about, oh, well, they go to Indiana, they buy a bunch of weapons, and they pull up in the white van, and they sell them in the street. Like, they buy them from gun stores legally, and then they pull up to the hood, quote unquote, and sell them right there to the gangbangers. I'm like, okay, first of all, you're going to take a hit on the price. You think these guys in the street are paying above retail price for their guns? Not necessarily. Okay, not really. And then beyond that, they have switches on the back that makes it fully automatic. Can you buy those in the gun store in Indiana? Where are those coming from? Who's to blame for that? I mean, maybe they're getting their guns the same way they're getting their drugs from the southern border, from other parts of the country, coming in from other countries illegally, because it's racist to have border security. It's racist to prevent drugs, guns, human trafficking victims, and things of that nature into the country. That's racist because there are brown people you're trying to keep out. Okay. There's no thought process to say, hey, wait a minute, this is a national security issue. You might have terrorists coming in. You might have the big bad Russians coming in. You might have cyber spies coming in. Some of the people that Eric Swalwell like, some of the young ladies that actually spy. We're not worried about any of that because we're so worried about being racist. And meanwhile, the crime rate's going up. And ridiculous things like this gun buyback seem to be the solution when they do nothing to solve any kind of problems at all. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with this gun buyback? Is it ridiculous? Do you think it's ridiculous? I think it's just totally ridiculous. I think it's just a way for them to say, hey, we did something, self-pat on the back, all this, that, and the third. It's not really going to help anything. It'll help some guy get a bunch of money. 21 bands, as the cool kids say. You made 21 bands from a bunch of 3D printed junk, right? But did you actually help at all with the crime in Utica, in New York State, New York City? I think not. And Letitia James, their attorney general, how incompetent is she? I mean, what's really going on? Can we get some competent leaders in politics? Wait, was that too much to ask? But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.